Hello. In the spirit of seeing people using old guns that I haven't seen in forever, and all of a sudden the older curio and relics just drying up because everybody's buying everything, wanted to talk about a pistol I have that is unique and strange, and it's just freaking weird. So today we're going to discuss this pistol, which is an H&R Defender 38. So this is an H&R Arms Company Defender 38. It is a top break safety eject type. I'll show you that as you... Okay, what that means is that it's going to eject the empty shells when you open it. The top break means it folds down. So you would lift up on this, and you can see that little plunger comes out and kicks the empty shells, and then you can just reload. Standard training at the time was to have a little pouch with a bunch of loose bullets in there, and you put them all in there. There actually are 5-shot speed loaders that will fit this. H&K makes a 5-shot that will fit this, as well as most of your Tauruses. So what the 38 on this denotes is it is chambered in 38, but not the 38 you think. It is chambered in 38 Smith and Wesson or 38 Smith and Wesson short. Some people would call it a Colt 38 short. I would disagree with that. And this is a Smith and Wesson 38 short. It is a very old cartridge. These are black powder equivalents, a little hotter actually, I think, than black powder equivalents. This was originally a black powder cartridge gun, and what that means is inside of this cartridge, instead of having smokeless powder, you would have black powder. Just to kind of put it in perspective, there's a 9mm NATO. You can see they're almost identical in size. Obviously there's a rim on the 38 Smith & Wesson. And to help with that, this is your 38 Special. See, there's quite a bit of difference in case length there. So this pistol, they made 2 versions of the Defender. One in the 38 Smith & Wesson, and the other was in 22. As far as I can trace this one back, probably made somewhere around 1937. A lot of these ended up in service in England, from what I understand. It's very difficult to research. There's not a lot of information out there on them. It's a fun little gun, but a lot of these are very old and had a lot of abuse. For instance, this one was issued to a security guard, if I remember correctly, a carpet company, and you can see on the side it's got number 3 engraved on it because this was pistol number 3 of however many they had. For its time, an amazing design. It's a top action that kicks out the empties and you just slap in more. Great idea. It has adjustable rear notch sights here, and for left and right, and for elevation, you can see not only did they add a little brass tack here on the blade to make it easier to see, but right here is a set screw that will adjust your elevation on that front sight. So it actually, for its time, that's pretty slick. I mean, not a lot of target sights kicking around at that time. They do wear out, especially if you are running really heavy loads through them. This one has a bore that's in great shape. It's been well maintained, I mean, for its age. You can see heavy drag marks here on the cylinder. She's not quite as tight as she could be, but she still locks up pretty good. It's a beaked hammer. This hammer beak was actually made out of stainless steel. Someone remanufactured a new one because they couldn't get parts. The handle is very interesting. The handle for this one, once again, the entire thing for the 22 version is almost the exact same. The handle here covers, what's hard to tell, you can kind of see from the inside here, is the handle frame, the frame comes down here at a bird's beak, which was popular at the time. And what they did was in the late 30s, they replaced those bird beak hand grips with this larger, more ergonomic grip, but it doesn't quite fit right, as you can see. This is actually a replacement one. The original one on it was destroyed. But I can tell you from measuring the original one, there's no difference in size or where they sit. They just don't quite fit because these were originally made with a bird's beak. But it's not uncomfortable. You can see that this does come up on the knuckle a little bit, but honestly, in the shooting of it, it's really not a big deal because you're down a little lower. She points fairly well. As you can see, once again, like a lot of these older revolvers, they're a little bit more in line for point shooting due to the grip angle. Not something I would recommend carrying or paying a lot of money for. I got it because it was kind of a family heirloom, and I've always liked Webleys. Side note. These Smith and Wesson 38 shorts, they look a lot like Webleys. Do not try and shoot Webley ammunition through them, especially these old ones. This bullet is 145 grain. The Webleys that were used in the Webley rounds that were used in the Webley 38 revolvers were a 200 grain bullet. That's a lot more weight, which resulted in a lot more pressure. And it's called the 38-200. Very good round, actually. The British Army did a lot of extensive testing. It came out quite well. But once again, a lot of these got shipped over because it was, what do you got? We'll take whatever you got. For its time, fantastic design, 5 shots, quick to reload, you're not sitting there with a plunger knocking out empty shells. You're just bang, ready to go. Issues with these, lockup. You can see there's a little bit of give there because over time these catches wear on the little square knobs here that it holds onto, and you can see they're slightly rounded, nothing terrible. A lot of little moving parts in here because, this is very similar to the Ivor Johnson and Smith and Wesson design of the time. But, fairly small. I mean, about the size of a semi-automatic these days. If you're just looking for a cool curio and relic, it's neat. It's fascinating. It handles quite well. The trigger's not terrible. Finding ammunition, you have to be extremely careful because if you're going to shoot this, sometimes this newly manufactured ammunition is a little too hot. I actually have black powder rounds as well. You have to be careful because people do crazy shit. So, like I said, I've shot brand new rounds through this and had no issues. I've shot black powder rounds through it, had a little bit of issues, but once again, it's black powder, it's dirty. It's a fun little gun. I just like it because it's different, it's novel. I wouldn't really recommend anyone buy it. I mean, it's not the most accurate thing in the world. I mean, it's a good barrel length. Maybe if it was in 22, I would like it better. But to me, it was more about the novelty and the fact that this is almost a 100-year-old gun, and it's just an interesting design. I would not recommend you buy one unless you're going to get it at a steal. They're usually really abused. The barrel's pitted. This one had been left in a safe for a very long time with some acidic paper, and the Bakelite handle had just shrunk and died, and it smelled like the inside of a tackle box. It took me days to clean it. But it's a fun little gun. I really enjoy it. If you have any information on this, or if you own one, please leave it in the comments. I'm fascinated by them. They're just really neat the way they work. But I don't know anybody else who owns one. I've seen one similar, but it was in 22. But it was a much longer barrel version. So thanks for listening to me ramble, and this is the Defender 38. We'll talk to you next time.